Good evening. Welcome to the 5-8, where we discuss each of the week's 5 most fucked up topics for 8 minutes. 5 topics, 8 minutes, 2 hosts, a guest, some singing, a lot of curse words, and as many cocktails as we deem necessary. LB, how are you?
I'm good. I have a little cocktail with you. There wasn't much tequila left because we don't drink it all that often. So nobody thought to get more. Anyway, I'll have a little bit with you. What are you having?
I am also having tequila because, taco had to be done.
Taco.
Yeah.
Tequila for our taco.
I enjoyed the taco thing so much. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I have to say.
Too. I'm still enjoying it.
Yeah. There's a lot of bad stuff. There's a lot of very, very amusing things this week. I almost didn't make the show because I got in a fight with Scott Vicent in the elevator. But fortunately, I was able to. Yeah, it's okay. I got some makeup on. It's all right. We're doing fine. All of the Musk stuff. I mean, we're going to talk about him in a serious way later. But the rumor now, is he's Stephen Miller's wife, Katie Miller, has left the White House. Also, Elon Musk leaving the White House with Elon Musk to work for Elon Musk full time, right? So this is a thing that's happening. Yeah. This is a thing that's happening. So what that means is, that at the end of the day, at the end of the work day, Musk just looks around and says to himself, you know what? It's Miller time. It's Miller time.
Oh, no.
That's what time it is. Yep. That's what time it is. So,
oh my God, look at that.
I know. Now, there are rumors. The word throuple was trending, which is hysterical to me. And I thought,
it's so
what if this were a show? What if this were a reality show, right? Where it's just like Musk and the Millers. We'd have to have a title for it. And the tagline we already have. The tagline would be putting the third in Third Reich. That would be the tagline.
Oh,
we got that.
That.
I thought a good title for this, Elon Musk and Stephen and Katie Miller show would be Big Hate. Kind of like, remember that show Big Love, which is about, I thought maybe that. But I put it up on the Bluesky to solicit other responses. So we got some good ones that I wanted to share with you about. This is, again, potential titles of a reality TV show with Elon Musk and the Millers. Tina suggested Nazis and Afraid. It's a good one.
Oh, yeah. Instead of Naked and Afraid.
Yep. LL said Duck, Duck, Goose Step.
Oh, that's a very good one.
That's a good one. And I thought we could make it also Cuck, Goose Step, or just Cuck, Goose. Also would be good in this sense, right? Because it kind of hints at that. Another one could be Three of Cucks. That's also good.
Oh.
Three of Cups is a tarot card that everybody comes together with. And then Greg with 2 G's had 2, which I think are the best ones. Ripley's Believe It or Nazi. And I think the winner for me, Hate is Enough.
Hate is enough.
Good, right?
Oh, yeah, that's it. That is the winner.
That's it. Congratulations to Greg with 2. Would you watch that show if it was on?
Hate is Enough? No.
But I'm not a good. Do you watch reality shows ever?
Yes.
All right. So you're okay.
Right now, I'm loving Top Chef.
Okay.
I like Traitors, as you know.
Well, that's
Genius Television.
Yeah.
Genius Television.
Yeah.
And there's every once in a while there's a housewife thing I can kind of watch, but not really anymore. It's so
Yeah.
But they used to be fun. That used to be a good time.
Well, I think Hate is Enough is going to be.
Hate is Enough, though. That's a perfect sitcom too.
Yeah. And I guess it's kind of I don't know if it's a segue into the first topic. We don't want to keep our guests waiting too long.
I guess it's a segue. Death of Expertise.
It's not really. It's not really. Nadine and Lisa do the segues better than they always have the nice segue. We're just like, all right, we're moving on.
We're moving on. Yeah.
We're moving on. We're abruptly changing. So
abruptly.
Now you and I were talking earlier in the week about expertise.
Yeah.
And I know you're going to talk about that.
I'm going to put this thing on.
Put the
I gotta
time.
put on the thing.
I wanted just to set this up a little bit because, as we know, this administration has declared war on expertise, and
Oh, okay.
Roberts wrote about it in his foreword to Mandate for Leadership, which is the Project 2025 975-page book, right?
Yeah.
And basically, he wants to get rid of all this government stuff and replace the brain trust at the CDC and the NIH and NASA and DARPA with, quote, parents at a high school football game in Waco, Texas, end quote. I'm paraphrasing a little bit. And he writes this. This is a direct quote. Intellectual sophistication, advanced degrees, financial success, and all other markers of elite status have no bearing on a person's knowledge of the one thing most necessary for governance, what it means to live well. So, I don't know. What about what it means to die well? You know, that's what.
Or just what it means to look. It is about being able to care for one another, for yourself and for one another. That is what being in a society, a civil society, is all about. And when your civil society is based on self-governance, the highest form of civil society that we can actually even govern ourselves, we don't need a monarch. We don't need a dictator. We don't need some kind of overlords. We don't need alien overlords. We don't need any of that. We can actually, as a people, as a society, choose our laws and choose our leaders and choose how we are going to, what is important, what we want to, as a society, prioritize, health, things like that. We'll prioritize education. The priorities then become, clean water, clean air, those priorities that are all agreed upon, that all the members of the society in a self-governing society, especially, okay, we got to figure out how to govern all of this. We got to figure out how to make it all work. There's going to need to be revenue to pay for stuff so that we can have the things like roads, plumbing, food that doesn't kill us, produced in such a way that can feed all of us. So all of that is where agencies, government agencies, where and what they're born out of. And, we've spoken before about how we sort of have to boil all this down for people, because what Elon Musk is, and it's not that he was, because apparently he's still in there in some way, even though he's running off with Stephen Miller's wife. What he is as an interloper, an outsider, a South African, not from a democracy, here illegally, as we've kind of reporting indicates, and coming in and then figuring out a grift to where he can develop companies, apparently while incredibly intoxicated, as the reporting is today, on a whole plethora of drugs at all times, somehow was able to have companies that got government contracts and subsidies. And that's what made him so wealthy, off of our government, right? So all of that wealth accumulated, and his personality and his mythology that he promoted, and the money that he then spread back around for Trump to get Trump reelected, $275 million, something like that, an enormous amount of money, and other promises that he made for the party that is behind Trump, ushered him in to this position in an agency that is all made up, because everything is made up with this man, and everything around Trump is kind of made up as well, to then go at with a, Project 2025 bulldozer, go at all, and a Steve Bannon wish list, go at all the government agencies and start to tear them apart. Those agencies that we just have articulated how and why they came into being. And what we were talking about in terms of before the show, of this assumption that this man has any kind of expertise at all on anything other than getting government subsidies and using that to become extraordinarily wealthy, and how to balance his ketamine, with other drugs so that he can perform at different parts. I got a TV camera thing, and then maybe I'm going to be at Mar-a-Lago playing with silverware. and tripping, that he's got expertise there, I think, in his pillbox for his own neurology. And he's got expertise at very high level of manipulation to have gotten himself into this position that he was in, and apparently is still in. I don't know. He's leaving. He's not leaving. We don't know. But there's no expertise and no experience whatsoever for government and what government is, and specifically for these agencies for being able to identify waste, right? Efficiency. So we were talking about like what really to just sort of annihilate all these jobs. So we're just talking about what this guy's done domestically. You'll get into some other stuff, but to come in and have what they really just did was annihilate the federal workforce.
It's a job destroyer. Yeah.
Job destroying on an agency with an agenda to destroy the agency. So agency by agency, based on a philosophy, this weirdo libertarian strangeness, Ayn Randian bizarro world that came out of, this other guy, Curtis Yarvin, gobbling up a bunch of stuff. So it's also a theological thing that, or a philosophical place that he's coming from, with absolutely no knowledge underneath it about what he's going after.
Right.
No knowledge, even knowledge pulling all the way back in terms of how the government agencies came to be in the first place, to the degree of looking at them and saying, all of this is just waste. All of these people, all these jobs, they're not doing anything meaningful. Write down on a piece of paper what you do, because we don't understand what you do. It's like, well, then you have absolutely no reason, no standing to come in and get rid of something that you don't understand. You have nothing. So what he really, and what Trump can never grasp, this is why Trump just wants to destroy. He was installed to destroy us. There's nothing you can say to me to have that be, all the evidence points to that.
Yeah.
But why for Trump, and why they all seem like taken aback about Medicaid might be going in this whole thing, even though that was part of it. Why Trump doesn't understand this all, it comes down to scale, to the concept of scale. Okay? That's what they're attacking with all of these jobs. They're saying all of these jobs are unnecessary in these agencies, and the agencies themselves many of them are unnecessary. That's an ignorance of what scale is, coming from people who purport to be business people, businessmen, successful businessmen, billionaires in Elon's case. But again, a billionaire and wealth accumulated not from actually building companies and understanding growth of companies, just from getting these subsidies, figuring out a revenue racket, a money racket, a subsidy racket for personal wealth. But there still was growth. So in Elon's case, it would be like going to him and saying, okay, well, we could look at SpaceX and say SpaceX started as, the way they looked at the government, SpaceX started as just guys that could, engineers that could draw some shit on paper and figure out some formulas. So really all you need for that company to run is to just go back to those first 4 guys. That's what he's done. And that's a perspective he has. And no reporter, and no one has challenged him on that. Wait a minute, right? If you're saying that government should be run like a businesses, and it takes a businessman to come in and figure out how to make it more efficient, then apply the same principles and philosophy that you're applying to this to your own companies, and does it match up? Would you ever do that? Would you ever come into Tesla and just get rid of everything but the people who can do the code? Does that make any sense? Because that's how that company, to build the electric cars, we had to figure out how to do the computer. Does it make any sense to get rid of everything that's happened with all this growth? The problem that these men and the women around them have with understanding government is they can't grasp scale.
Yeah.
And the time, it is not 400 years ago. My God, when the founders did what they did, there was no industrial revolution yet. We have the effects that we have to deal with our industries and the evolution of those industries on just things like air and water. Can't get rid of that's why we have the EPA, because time marched on and our society scaled. We have way more people. We do way more things. We need the support. The government needs the support that it has to be able for us to continue our own self-governance. So just the fact that they can't understand that, and Musk and Thiel I put into a category of just these, they grabbed onto some garbage philosophy. It would be like, I asked you earlier, I know we're going a little over, but I really want to land this. I asked you earlier, name one thing that you don't know anything about. And what did you say to me?
Horticulture.
Horticulture. Okay. These guys know nothing about government, and they should know they know nothing about government. They haven't studied it. They're not even from our nation. They weren't here. They had to learn about this all later. They didn't grow up within our country. They don't have anything to grab onto, and they haven't sought out the knowledge. They just have their Ayn Randian philosophy. So it would be like you knowing, as someone that knows you don't know anything about horticulture, but you heard somewhere that the reason why certain flowers have certain colors is because they have a particular nutrient.
Vitamin A. I heard it was vitamin A.
Vitamin A. So what you were just hearing this. Again, there's no expertise. There's no knowledge. There's no experience. You just heard something that may or may not be based in anything real, and you're going with it. So you're then planned for solving the food crisis. You're applying it to the food crisis now. It's just, let's group all plants in categories based on what color they are and grow them by color. That'll work because they have the same nutrient, and that makes sense in my brain. So therefore, that's what we're going to do. That's the equivalent of what these men have come in and done to our government agencies. That's the equivalent of Elon Musk's knowledge. Then you got to throw a bunch of drugs on top of that, apparently. So I can't emphasize that enough. That I don't know why he hasn't ever been challenged on the fact that he has no knowledge. And that the reasoning that he's bringing, and even Donald Trump is bringing, to why to get rid of these agencies is because they need to be run like a business. But nobody's then going the next step and challenging them on that they would never do this to their businesses because their businesses need to scale. Now, Donald Trump, no. I understand why he doesn't grasp any of this. His entire business is IP licensing, brand licensing his name out to stuff. You only need a couple of attorneys and some support staff for that, right? That can scale because that's just contracts. That's just contracts. You're not building anything. There's nothing to build. You're licensing your name to other people who build. But those other people, you go to them and you say, all of those contractors, all those real estate developers, and you say, you don't need any more staff than Donald Trump, and they're going to laugh you out of the building. And even he would grasp that. So if we would just reel ourselves back a little bit and start to go to the basics of scale and apply that to our own government and understand that we need these resources, then maybe we can go to the next big bucket that they don't seem to grasp at all, and that's revenue. You also have to have revenue to pay for all of this stuff.
Not if you own a casino in New Jersey, apparently.
So this is the problem, and not if you built all of your wealth off of government subsidies.
Mm-hmm.
So the two people who have been able to figure out how to have wealth and a wealthy lifestyle without actually generating the revenue needed to sustain it are also weighing in and have taken a sledgehammer to our government that we may or may not be able to recover from the damage at least Elon Musk has done. Just that one man has done. And what has it been? 5 months?
4.
Colossal damage. Completely ignorant of scale and revenue.
Yeah. I mean, to your point about scale, just to give an illustrative example, we were talking before, it's like saying, okay, well, I see now that you guys are a band. You've got a guitar player, a bass, a singer, and a drummer. That's all you need is 4 guys. Like, why do we have all these other people? And it's like, because we're Metallica and we're on tour.
Right.
Metallica doesn't go on tour with 4 dudes. There's people all over the place doing stuff.
Yeah.
And everywhere they go, there's people doing stuff. And you need all those people to have the concert. And the United States is Metallica. We're not like my high school band that played in my garage. And we don't want to be. Believe me.
No,
my
you
high
don't
school
want to
band.
be. You don't want to be. So then again, just that statement, if you're talking to anybody in Metallica or works with Metallica or anyone in the music industry at any level, just that statement, you don't need anything but 4 guys and 4 instruments. All of those people will laugh you out of the building.
Right.
Because they know what it actually takes to do this.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go all the way back, 40, how many years was Reagan ago? 50 years?
Too many. 45 something.
45 years? With that guy saying the enemy is the government
mm-hmm.
and teaching people to hate the government, teaching American citizens to hate the government, I can see how we bred this culture of ignorance over what it actually takes to govern, and that we're actually just governing ourselves. You're throwing your own future away. You're throwing your stability away. You're throwing your nation away. That's what that is. It's people. It's just people.
Now, I think maybe James Hetfield punched Elon Musk. That would be cool.
That would be great.
All right, so let's go through
the domestic problem of this guy. That's the domestic damage, and it's vast, and it's going to continue to go on. And you have RFK Jr., you have other people to throw into the mix of just totally ignorant people that somehow we as a nation, and especially our press, has invested knowledge into them that they don't have. We've just
it's crazy.
Suppose that they must know what they're doing. It's insane.
All right, let's go quick on the second topic because we don't want to keep our guests waiting.
We don't. Maybe a little bit, because I want to hear what you have to say about this. I know you've got a lot going.
Yeah, but I don't want to spend too much time. I want to talk to her. Okay, so we want to talk about Musk more, okay? Because we're joking around about him, but he is someone who, when all is said and done, his legacy will be death. He's a bringer of death. The fact that he's ignorant and stupid doesn't change the fact that he's a bringer of death. The fact that he's on drugs, apparently his drug use is so bad that the New York Times actually wrote a story about it. That's how bad it is.
That's insane.
For the New York Times to write about his ketamine use and imply that he's wearing a diaper because he can't pee and he has bladder control problems is bad. That means that it's really bad.
Really bad. And that other people are actually talking about what the New York Times wrote.
Yes. And probably have been for quite some time. So Elon claims he's leaving government. I doubt it. I mean, I think Jim Stewartson wrote a thing about, Katie Miller. We joked about it, but she's also kind of an unofficial conduit, a back channel, if you will, between Musk and Miller, right? So that there's going to be communication between these forces. Michelle Goldberg of the New York Times wrote a piece, an op-ed today or yesterday, just about Musk's legacy. Doge is going to cost, by some estimates, $135 billion, save nothing. And that doesn't count the court cases that are going to go on, and all the wasted energy of all the people that he fired and the lives that were upset. Just a colossal waste. He stole all our data. Still don't know where that's going to shake out.
Don't know.
The Social Security Administration looks like he's Trojan horsed that, and I expect it to blow up at any moment. Oh, apparently, he's also responsible for cutting the air traffic controllers. Doge did that too. So the planes that are whatever, that's on him. Any airline thing that fails, that's Musk. He used up all the ketamine. He used up all the Adderall. That's bad. There's a shortage of Adderall. But the worst thing is the U.S. aid.
Yes,
and he. And she writes about this in her piece. There was a study at Boston University that said 300,000 people are probably already dead because of the U.S. aid cuts already. So Musk and Trump both have 300,000 deaths, mostly children who are starving. So that's on him. It's just on him forever. And Nature magazine ran a report and a study extrapolating, suggesting that there were going to be 25 million people who die directly as a result of just the USAID thing and the stuff that Musk and Trump have done. And Dan Moynihan, who's a professor at University of Michigan, that's how I learned about it. He posted it and he wrote, if that number's true, the 25 million, it puts Trump and Musk in the category of the most brutal leaders of the 20th century in terms of unnecessary lives lost. And that doesn't even take into account the pre-Musk shit with the first Trump term, when all of the people who died of COVID unnecessarily, because purely based on his negligence. People were going to die anyway, but studies have shown that, again, 300,000 people are dead that wouldn't have died if he was not terrible about it. We know Katherine Eban, who was on a couple weeks ago at Vanity Fair, wrote about that at the time. She has another article. Speaking of COVID deaths, RFK Jr. is still out there. Just talk about lack of expertise. Yeah. This is a guy who I don't know what the fuck drugs he's on, but I don't know who's talking to him. If he's like, picture yourself on a boat on a river with tangerine trees and marmalade skies, and they're saying vaccines are bad. They're not. Okay. Right now, he's a joke. Right now, it's whatever, because we haven't felt the effects of it yet. When there's a pandemic, all of these other people, Musk and Tulsi Gabbard and Hegseth, and they're all like the regular kind of like supervillains. When we have the pandemic and this level of stuff, RFK is going to be like Thanos, the Avenger movie, snapping his fingers. The death on him is going to be incalculable, and we probably won't be around for it, which is not exactly what we want, I suppose. Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to get that out there because Elon Musk is a bringer of death, and everywhere, and she writes this in the piece, everywhere that he goes for the rest of his life, he should be reminded of this fact, and he should never again be treated in polite society by anyone as a genius or as, frankly, a human being. He's waived any right to be treated with anything. He should just be shat upon and shunned and shamed for the rest of his life. So
I'm up for that.
That's what I got. But something else happened this week.
Yes.
This is kind of minor in the relative scheme of things, but it did happen. Did happen.
Canada, what do you say? It's time you join the USA. Together we'll be another Rome. And we'll save you with golden dome. Canada, accept your fate. Come be the 51st state. Trump is the leader of your new home. And if not, no golden
I love it so much.
Chunk killed it on that one. He killed it. Oh,
it's so ridiculous.
He killed it in the sense of doing a good job, and I killed it in the sense of I killed it. It just died.
It was so awful when you said it. I'm like, I don't know, maybe something else, and then Chunk all of a sudden made it just. Oh my!
If that song's sung right, it's really good. But it's It's one of my
Yeah.
really great songs. So, okay. So we're not going to keep our guest waiting any longer. She is a journalist, a war correspondent, a novelist, an artist, one of my favorite humans, and now a filmmaker. She has a new. I don't know how she has time for any of this. She has a new film out, and we're going to look at the trailer right now, and then we're going to bring her out. So,
awesome.
Okay, here we go. I'm talking, of course, about Zarina Zabrisky, as you might have guessed by now. So, okay, here's the trailer.
Началась война. Обстріл, просто какой-то хаос в городе.
Всі хотіли воювати, були готові воювати там з лопатою, з ножом, з палкою, з охотничьим ружьом.
Ну, вот тысячи херсонців на центральній площі.
Вообще жесть, вылезти на русский БТР.
Я тоже не бессмертна, но не страх, а злость.
По ночам ходили, стреляли просто потому, что пьяные были.
С той стороны не выпускали поехать в Херсон. И под автоматами.
И я теперь такой, знаешь, такой свобода.
Весь город, грубо говоря, это сейчас большой тир, а ты мишень.
Ребята, кто же там взорвал? Зачем взорвал?
Русские взорвали.
О! Ебать!
Сафарі на людей йде.
Здається, як дуже багато бджіл. Насправді це дрони.
Не встигли, може кинути.
Они говорят, что они победили нацизм. Нет, они его забрали себе. Они и есть нацисты.
Пока мир спит, мы здесь умираем.
A dream, a little dream of me.
Zarina, welcome. That was intense.
Hi, Stephanie. Hi,
Hi.
you guys. Hi, everyone.
We're so happy to see you.
Thank you for bringing me on.
Yeah.
Before we get to the movie, how are you? How what's going on?
Okay, I'm adjusting still. It's a long adjustment from the war zone to a suburb place in Texas. It's a big change.
You have to. There's more guns in Texas, I think. Is the
I didn't count. Yeah.
So tell us about the movie. It's called Kherson Human Safari, which is you've come on Prevail and written about this before, but talk a little bit about the film, how it was made, some of your reporting, and what Human Safari actually is.
Well, thanks. It's not an easy or light topic, but it's very timely because along with all the important events that are happening that you were just analyzing brilliantly, I was totally carried away, which are happening domestically, in the United States, and that are very important to us, Americans. There are a number of international events that are happening, and there are so many that they're hard to grasp, hard to register them all. So what happened this week, there was a major breakthrough. The United Nations, the organization most are familiar with, for the better or worse, you can say whatever you want, but the inquiry committee of the United Nations, after 3 months of rigorous research on the ground, and I helped the team, came up with a very powerful 16 pages report saying that the Russian drone attacks, otherwise known, at least to our audience, as Human Safari, are indeed war crimes, and not just war crimes, but the crimes against humanity. So this team spoke to up to almost 100 victims and survivors of such attacks. Pretty much the same people I was interviewing. There's no lack of the victims of drone attacks and other type of attacks in Kherson right now. They spoke to authorities. They studied the videos. They went through lots of evidence, videos, verified it in a very, very thorough way. And I have to say that the United Nations is not a type of organization who comes to something like war crimes or crimes against humanity easily. Most things are actually being either dismissed, or I've seen many reports which made me raise my eyebrows because the numbers that I saw didn't coincide with my idea of what was happening on the ground. But this time they are right on spot. And I was at the press conference that they gave 2 days ago, and they were very, very clear. This is what's happening. The recommendations are for the Russian Federation to immediately stop these attacks. They have requested the reply from the Kremlin, obviously didn't get anything back. And moreover, next week, we're expecting 100 pages report from Human Rights Watch. And these guys were on the ground. I was working with them as well, helping them, not in official capacity. They don't recruit journalists, but I help them to get to know the victims, the survivors, and just to orient on the ground. And then from there, they were doing their own very thorough research. And we are to see their findings. It's coming on June 3rd. And so on June 3rd, my documentary, which is 80 minutes full feature documentary, will also be ready for now pre-screening. That will be for the members of press, because we're still looking for the distributing platform. So if you are listening and you are a member of press, you are cordially invited to contact me. I'll send you the press release, which is beautifully done by our PR representatives in LA and Hollywood, and our executive producer, Heidi Kuda, who's an Emmy Award winning producer and a journalist, many of you know, also my Byline colleague. We have a stellar team. And we will send you a code. You will be able to pre-screen it. If you are listening and you are somehow related to the distributors or the agents, also, please contact me. This is not a commercial project. We are not looking into making money. Whatever money is being made will be going directly to Kherson, to the people of Kherson, and to the people who are defending Kherson. So we are open. You've seen the trailer. How did we make it? We made it under fire. There was a local team. I mean, I was working on it for 2 years, and the team has changed throughout 2 years. We ended up with mainly local Ukrainian artists. Director of photography is a very well-known local photographer and a teacher of photography whose house was appropriated and looted by the Russians. The dancer you saw, I'm not going to give away. There's the little secret. You have to watch the movie. But she lived through everything. And the way we were filming, we were actually hiding from the drones that were above us as we were filming.
Wow.
And was dancing, something was burning in the background, and so on and so forth. The composer, the music that you heard, joined the resistance movement and was a partisan during the occupation period. The singer in the beginning that you hear, the beautiful sycamore trees, because Kherson is all lined up with these gorgeous sycamore trees that I love. she's a 16-year-old schoolgirl who takes singing lesson under artillery fire and drones, and so on and so forth. These people are incredible. And so the whole film is the story of Chersonians. I'm not in this film. No other foreign journalists are in this film. It's all about this absolutely astounding, heroic, most inspirational people I have seen in my life. And the story we're telling is continuing now. And that's why this film is so timely, because as we speak, Putin is claiming the Kherson region, and this very city of Kherson, which considers itself and believes itself and knows itself as a Ukrainian city, as the Russian Federation, just because they wrote it down in their constitution as the Russian Federation. And as one lady who runs a fashion boutique in a very, very dangerous zone in Kherson said, well, we can write things too. What if we write Moscow down in our Ukrainian constitution as a part of Ukraine? But we don't do it because we're reasonable people. So,
Zarina, so tell us just one more time, say the name of the film, so that because you put a call out. So
very simple. It's called Kherson Human Safari.
Kherson Human Safari. And then just so anybody who's, and we'll talk after, but tell us again what the drone attacks, just take me back to how the UN, what was it that they saw that said, is it how they were taught, how the drones, who the drones were targeting, just to remind everybody, because our news over here, you might be seeing this now that you're back over here a little bit, it's scattered to the wind, but it's hard to get a clear reporting from anybody on anything. So just a real concise, what happened in Kherson, what happened with these drones?
Of course. So I actually happen to be the only foreign journalist in the city. So I know how hard to get by these reports. I tried to break the story for 3 months. So last July, when I arrived after a little break back to Kherson, there was a new sound that I heard. And the sound sounds sort of like a bunch of wet boards falling down on the ground of the truck. And my friends explained to me that this is a new development. They're called skids, and that is a Russian small drone, commercially made drone, FPV or Mavic drones. They're both FPV, first-person drone, the one that you might see at a wedding or doing cinematography, anywhere at a playground, right? Carrying sometimes homemade grenade and some sort of explosive. Sometimes it's a can of Coca-Cola or a plastic bottle with explosives inside.
Something lightweight that one of those little drones can carry.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. That's
so
an explosive.
The little drone is being guided by a Russian pilot located across the river. And the river in this place is only about 800 meters, like about a mile. And then, so the Russians are very close. And when they just started it, they could fly to up to 5 miles inland, which was just a coastal area at the time. And the Russian pilot, through the goggles, can see very well whom they are targeting. And that's why it is a war crime, because the deliberate targeting of civilians is described as a war crime by international law, Geneva Conventions, and so forth. And so they could see very well what they're doing. They're following a woman, a girl on a bicycle, a child, an elderly lady, know who they are, know they are civilians, and drop the grenade. It's not the only thing that they're doing. By now, there's a whole arsenal of attacks. Other attacks would include targeting first responders, ambulances, fire engines who come to rescue the victims of these attacks. It's called double tap, and it could be done with artillery, but now it's being done with the drones as well. Then what they also do, they drop incendiary devices on houses or in summer on the patches of dry grass, setting the whole block on fire. And they do it very strategically. So there could be 2 drones at work. One will fly and drop a rock through the roof. And this, we are talking about private houses. It also could be a block or flat as well. But for the private houses, if you throw a rock from a height, you will make a hole in the roof. And then another drone will throw a Molotov cocktail inside, set it on fire. And because the electricity or gas, to this point, or the water supply was broken a long time ago by artillery, aerial guided bombs, all the provisions are being made by the generators. So a drone first will find a generator, heat it, get it out of order, so there won't be any water coming from the well. So the residents cannot extinguish the fire. The fire engine cannot approach it because of the double tap. And so everything is on fire.
Magnified. Yeah, it's all magnified.
They also targeting vehicles, any vehicles, civilian vehicles, taxi cabs, buses, public transportation a lot. They cut down the public transportation to very minimum. And they also drop their what's called anti-infantry mines in residential areas. They're small, they're called petals, sometimes disguised as rocks or children's toys, or again, trash. So if you step on it, you lose a limb. So when you walk to get milk to a grocery store, you first have to look up to look for a drone. You listen for it as well. Then you look down looking for the mines. And then you look left and right, because whatever car is going by, they're flying by really quickly because they are escaping the drones. And that's the reality. And that's what the United Nations have concluded comes up to a war crime, and on a more broader spectrum, as a systematic and state policy, amounts up to the crime against humanity.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, it's like they're playing a video game.
So evil.
Yeah, the normal question of an average normal, not a psychopath person, is why are they doing it? So I'll answer that for you. And that's what United Nations report is also saying. This is a state policy to drive the civilian population out of Kherson, to basically empty the city. And it's forceful redeployment, forceful transfer, forceful movement of population, which also comes up to and constitutes crime against humanity.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
God.
No, it's a lot. It's a lot. And Zarina, thank you for staying on this story, because you've been there for a long time, and it feels like, I mean, it's over, what, 2.5 years you were there? I'm trying, I've lost all track of time, but you've been there for a while. You spent a lot of time in Kherson, and not a lot of other people have at all. So I think it's, it's wonderful that you've been doing this, and I'm sure the people there appreciate it too, but we have to get the stories out, because we have to show what they're doing. And how horrible it is.
Get the story out, and we'll have to get some accountability. We have to have them stopped, because they're doing it now as we are talking. Yeah. It goes around the clock, now at night as well, because they have night vision devices as well. And there could be 100 drones an hour. So we have to stop them. And then we also have to find accountability for the military who do that, the Russian military, their commanders, and all the way up to the top. So I'm hoping that there will be a tribunal, that it is going to the international court, that it's going to the Hague, and I'm hoping that my documentary will help with it. Now, when it comes to documentary, you will see the wonderful people of Kherson who are way lighter than I am and don't pound you with that as much. So in my film, you will see a lot of dancing, singing, embroidery, art, jokes, all through this heavy history of the war that hit the city.
Well, they're embracing their art and their culture as a way to continue to express their independence as a people. and resist this, appropriation, the violent appropriation based in war crimes that's happening to them. It's terrible. So it's wonderful. We're so pleased that you've made this movie.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it wasn't easy, but I'm hoping now to bring it. And it's actually enjoyable. Those who already watched the film, they do say that despite of a heavy subject, the people are so delightful and they have such incredible sense of humor that at times it's fun to watch it.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I like how you put, the having the dancer in throughout even the trailer is good because it makes it more, it's not all horrible. It gives you something to focus on that's positive and stuff like that. And making a movie about something awful that's positive is very hard to do. So
it's not. And if anybody read my dispatches from Kherson on your Substack, Greg, knows that we're having a lot of fun. There are yoga studios, which is in the film. There's theater. There's good food. There are just all these fun things that are also, worth a watch.
Now, that's going to come out on the 3rd. We're going to get the report and all of that. So we're all going to look forward to reading what the UN says. I want to ask you about, just in a general way, there's a lot of news here. The only thing that really makes the news here is the negotiations, quote unquote, so-called, between Putin and, I guess the Ukrainians aren't even involved, and Trump and like Rubio. And then there were the Saudis were there for a while. And it seems like, just more Putin bullshit where he's saying, let's come to the table. And then Trump says something and then he doesn't go to the table. And then he just, bombs something even worse. So I'm curious what your take on it is and what the take on it is in Kherson and in Eastern Ukraine generally.
Just talk is cheap anyway in Kherson or in America. I mean, they are putting in a lot of words to distract us, and it's one of the, before being a war correspondent, I was a writer, but I also was an expert on hybrid war and the Kremlin narrative and combat propaganda. That's how we all met. And that's when we started to cover it. I know you guys are very well versed in it. So you know that the distraction is one of the favorite tricks. And they will give you anything, throw a bone at you. And while, the proverbial dogs are there fighting for the bone, the real stuff is happening someplace else. It has nothing to do with the debate that is happening somewhere on the social media. So all this back and forth, we're negotiating, we are having this new paper, we are not showing you the new paper, or we are coming to Istanbul, oh no, we're not coming to Istanbul, is all just, I don't listen to it. I don't know any Ukrainian, and they're saying man who has time to listen to it. It's all bullshit because on your program we can speak.
Look over there as we still. I mean, never forget. And this is where you and I connected all the way back to like 2016. Is these are criminals. These are thieves and thugs, and they've just to have what they want. They're psychopaths as well, like Putin I'm speaking of in particular, and Donald and his shadow. They will go to these extremes. They will do anything. They will annihilate. They will commit genocide so they can take what they want. So if you think they're not going to deploy distractions as well, I can't.
No, it's like, exactly. It's like in Matrix movie, there's a woman in the red dress.
Yeah.
And you're watching the woman in the red dress. And meanwhile, the actual things are happening. And what the actual thing is that Putin doesn't want to stop the war. And basically, he can't stop the war because the Russian economy right now is all set to work for the war. Also, if he loses the war, he's dead meat, he's politically and maybe even physically, he's gone because his own people are going to get rid of him. He needs to keep fighting. And then Trump, as we know, depends on Putin, and he's also afraid of Putin. And he wants to continue the relationship with Putin, and we don't have time to go into it now, and it's a different subject. But there's all this money, with the Arctic drilling and with the Rosneft and with the Exxon oil, the billions of oil and gas money that Trump is interested in. And that's what's going to happen when sanctions are removed. So Putin wants the sanctions to be removed. Trump wants to remove the sanctions in order to get to his share of gas and oil money, but he can't do it directly because there are people in the states, even including Republicans, who will oppose it. So they're dancing around, waltzing around, distracting us with all the women in the red dresses. And we shouldn't be looking at that. We should know that until they are stopped, and I don't know who has the power to stop it now, possibly Europe, theoretically.
Possibly Europe, yeah.
Yeah, and so all eyes are now on Europe, on Germany, on France. I don't know about England, perhaps. And this is our hope. That's basically the bottom line.
So before we let you go, people are asking in the comments, and I think it's important to know, what can people do to help the situation there? How can people give money and donate? What are good charities to give to? Are there other things that people can do to help?
Well, thank you so much. And by the way, I am in this one window where I don't see this comments. So I apologize if I'm not answering some important questions. Maybe I should have been someplace else, but I only see you guys, and you're very pretty, but I don't see any comments.
Oh, no, you did have it there. So I'm sorry that's not working for you. Okay, but go ahead and let people know.
Read me any questions, but yes, there people of Kherson, not just people of Kherson, there are plenty of causes in Ukraine that could use help. But since I've been involved lately, mainly in Kherson, what I've been doing, I don't take any donation for the people. I connect people directly for those in need. Every day there are several houses destroyed and people are in the streets without accommodation. Their families, their children. Russians destroy animal shelters, several already destroyed. If that's where your heart is, I can connect you directly. There are military units of the territorial defense brigades. Basically, these are people who used to be civilians, and when the Russians attacked, became soldiers. And they're men and women, and they are in the film. I have several women who were elementary school teacher, for example, and she became a gun machine operator because she wanted to protect her land. So these wonderful units, these people are fearless. They're real heroes. I've never seen anybody anywhere that close to being heroes, the definition of heroes. These units also need support because they need parts for drones to fight back the Russian drones. They need radars, they need electronic warfare, whatnot. So wherever your heart is, if you want, I'm everywhere. It's easy to find me. I'm on Twitter, on Facebook. Hit me directly. I'll connect you with whomever you're interested to help. You can also help officially the city of Kherson. I'm working directly with the authorities, so there's more control. There are volunteers who are saving people, families being rescued from the red zones. So yeah, if you want to help, I'm very, very grateful.
Wonderful.
Help is needed. I'll connect you.
That's wonderful. And something everybody could do to help, if you don't have resources or anything, just do everything we can to kind of pierce the discourse in the bubble when we get the thing that comes out on June 3rd, and watching for your documentary and watching for all of what you've expressed is coming down the pipe from the United Nations.
Yes.
And what was the other organization? Now I can't remember.
Human Rights Watch report, 100-page report.
Yeah.
Coming up next week, very important. There will be a lot of press coverage. And the film I'm talking about, my documentary, on the 3rd of June, it will be pre-screened by the press. So I will let everybody know when it's available, hopefully very, very soon. We're working hard on it. But generally, spread the word. we need awareness. We need if you don't have money to help, I understand. I don't have money myself. It's hard to help. But you know what you can do? You can share a report. You can share United Nations report. You can share my articles. You can share some other journalist article. You can just share the information. Tell other people about Ukraine, because what I found out on coming back from Ukraine to Europe and the States, people don't know what's happening. And it's the press to be blamed for that. There's not enough coverage. There are many reasons for that, but that's where you can help, and it doesn't cost you anything. Tell others about that. This is happening. These war crimes are ongoing as I'm talking now. Let's all together stop it. We can do it.
Excellent. So once again, Zarina, the movie is called Kherson Human Safari. So it's great to see you. It's great to see you safe and sound. And, just a million thank yous for the work you're doing there. It's just, you're so inspiring to me. So thank you for that. And it's great to see you, and come back again soon.
Thank you, guys. You're always inspiring me. Thank you, B. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, everyone. We will see you soon.
See you soon. Love you so much.
Bye.
Bye. Oh.
All right. Yeah. Great to see her always. Okay.
Great.
So I told you this would happen, which is that my cat needs to be let out of the room now.
Is this why
the cat?
All right, so
one of the cats was on. One of the cats was on.
We're both. Let me go first because my fan is not on me, and all of a sudden the temperature.
Okay. I knew it was going to be when when we were at the most serious moment of the entire show is when Walter would decide that he needed to get out right now. So I'm just going to let him out. I know.
Okay, go let Walter out. I think you should just bring him on the show. Myself, yay! She is the best. Oh.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Sorry about that.
Here we go.
And we're back. Okay. Let's see what's next. Oh, I forgot the banner. I took the banner off because we wanted to see everything.
Good.
Okay.
What is next?
Oh, this is a fun one.
Oh,
this is my favorite one.
Okay.
This is the best one. So
I think this was just for you. I think this came into being just for you. A present for you, Greg.
I think so. Wait, where the heck did this thing go? Hold on one second.
You have it up there. I think you have the whole thing we can post, right?
Yeah. I can't find it. Okay, here we go. So I've been harping on this Leonard Leo for quite some time.
Yes.
As you know. And nobody knows about him. Nobody will write about him. Our friend Tom Carter, I mean, he's been on this for
forever
now, trying to get people unsuccessfully to write about this guy. Yeah. Nobody knows who he is. And then Trump just does us a solid, right? Here he is. Okay, I'm going to read this. Should I read it in the? I'm going to read it in the North Atlantic voice. Okay.
Okay, North Atlantic.
The U.S. Court of International Trade incredibly ruled against the United States of America on desperately needed tariffs. But fortunately, the full 11-judge panel on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit Court has just stayed the order by the Manhattan-based Court of International Trade. Where did these initial 3 judges come from? How is it possible for them to have potentially done such damage to the United States of America? Is it purely a hatred of Trump? In quotes, Trump in quotes for some reason. What other reason could it be? I was new to Washington, and I was suggesting that I use the Federalist Society as a recommending source on judges. I did so openly and freely, but then realized that they were under the thumb of a real sleazebag named Leonard Leo, a bad person who in his own way probably hates America and obviously has his own separate ambitions. He openly brags how he controls judges and even justices of the U.S. Supreme Court. I hope that is not so and don't believe it in any event. Leo left the Federalist Society to do his own thing. I am so disappointed in the Federalist Society. So.
I want to say one thing. I got to go to a judge right now. So, and then I want to hear everything you have to say. And then my thing.
No, I want to hear what you have to say.
Well, I just want to start this with, I think about Ludwig, that Judge Ludwig, right? It could have been, but we got John Roberts. And he said a couple weeks ago he was describing Donald Trump, and he was describing him perfectly. He said, what comes out of his mouth is garbage, nonsensical, and a lot of lies, but he doesn't betray his thoughts. Whatever he's thinking, it does just come shooting out of his mouth. Like, he doesn't self-edit. He doesn't, I think he does more self-editing than Letigus, but what he's trying to say is like, he's telling you his true thoughts. Not that it's the truth, but it's his true thoughts. So you can, whatever he's saying, we can look at that and grab onto that and go, okay, this is what's going on for him right now. So inside of that, first of all, sidebar, who knew there was an international trade court? Did you know that we had this? I didn't know.
It's one of the things like horticulture that I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm pleased that there are experts.
I didn't know I didn't know that. Like horticulture, know that you like flying a plane. I got no clue. I would never try to come in to aviation and all of a sudden start firing everybody. I don't know anything about it. But I didn't even know this thing existed. Now I know, and now I know there's something that I have no clue what it is. But apparently they said no to Donald Trump. Someone took a lawsuit there about the tariffs being illegal and they upheld it, and he's losing his mind. Okay, that's number one. That's a sidebar. The word that I'm stuck on here is, do you want me to do this now, or do you want to say more first?
No, you go. Okay. You go.
The word, and I think my camera is, hang on. Is that better? Oh, was I fuzzy? The word that I'm stuck on that he used is sleazebag. Donald Trump, who traffics in ungodly amounts of sleaze, who can't even stand up in front of the Boy Scouts of America and not be pornographic. We hear how he talks when he thinks he's talking. That Access Hollywood tape, we got that. We've heard stories about him being sending texts and just shocking, jarring things to other men. The way we remember how he talked about Arnold Palmer, right? we know from, that he tried to blackmail Zelensky, right? He's a blackmailer. He's a thug. This is it for him. And I don't think it's projection, because he didn't call him a weirdo. There are all kinds of things you could call Leonard Leo that are easy targets, and that his base would, love. Just take one look at Leonard Leo. There's a lot he could take a lot of hits at him, but he chose, and he knows this guy. He chose sleaze, sleaze, and all I could think was like, oh my God, he's literally confirming, because he can't betray his thoughts. Okay, come out of his mouth, that Leo traffics in sleaze. He used Leo for Kavanaugh. He used him for Kavanaugh. That was pure Leonard Leo, and Don McGahn orchestrating the whole thing. Leo he does what Donald does. He's a sleazebag dirt trafficker. Apparently,
that's what Donald is suggesting.
That's what that says to me.
Yes.
So then you got to look at these judges and know that Leo knows everything about him, all the dirt. In fact, I don't know if those judges like Kavanaugh would be on that bench if there wasn't a whole bunch of dirt on him.
I'm going to go with no.
That's how you have control. Sleaze. He confirmed the sleaze.
Yep.
Who owns Kavanaugh? I bet Leonard Leo knows.
I bet Leonard Leo owns Kavanaugh. Maybe.
I bet he owns him.
But
Sleazeback. And the other thing, openly brags about controlling the Supreme Court.
Yeah. Now, to your point about sleazebag, and just to be clear, we're not saying Leonard is.
I
don't know what he's doing. He's a holy guy, goes to church every day.
Yeah. Never sleazebag.
I'm not saying that he's a sleazebag in the sense that Donald means, but Leonard Leo helped put 5 of the justices on the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And the 6th justice is the one that predates him, is Clarence Thomas. Clarence Thomas, Leo looks at him as a sort of godfather figure, like a father figure, right? Clarence Thomas is kind of a sleazebag.
Kind of a sleazebag.
I'm old enough to remember. Yeah, I'm old enough to remember the Anita Hill testimony. Yes. But even at that time, that was not the only story that was going around. You know, if you go back in the archives, you can find stuff about what he was up to.
Yeah.
It was, you know, whatever, but not maybe what you would think a squeaky clean justice should be maybe up to. I would think. Was it thruple? I don't know. Maybe the word of the week is thruple. I think I may be remembering it wrong. I don't want to impugn this guy, but there's stuff, and then he gets married to Ginny, and everything sort of goes underground. People like that don't change, you know. Just stuff just goes underground. That's all I'm saying. So Leonard Leo is very close with Clarence Thomas, and we know this stuff about Clarence Thomas. So now we have Donald Trump saying Leonard Leo is a sleazebag. It's interesting because I actually, frankly, I never got the sleazebag vibe from Leo.
I just wouldn't have come up with that word.
No, that isn't the word that I would.
We don't know him. We've only researched him. You've written about him quite a bit.
I've written about him quite a bit. And now that's the best part of this, okay? Tom Carter, God bless him, has been on this like for years and years and years, trying to get people to write about this guy, talking to journalists at various institutions, and lately calling them out and revealing emails he sent them years ago to try to shame them into writing about Leonard Leo. Well, now the fucking president of the United States just said his name. Say my name, Heisenberg. Write about the guy now, New York Times. Write about him, Washington Post. Write about him, Mother Jones. It's time to bring Leonard Leo into the fabric of this story because he's an important character in the fabric of the story, and he always has been. And that's it. Trump himself, no less an authority than the president of the United States of America, as he said twice, whole thing, United States of America, says that he is a sleazebag, which is fine, but also that he brags about controlling the judges.
Openly brags.
He does. What does that mean? And this comes out of the international court's decision, and I think the implication is that those judges were put there by Leonard Leo and Trump, whatever. This all needs to be investigated, and I think that Donald Trump, the president of these United States, has given the legacy media permission to talk about a guy who he also
he's a source
referred to as, quote, a fat fuck. So
he's an on the record source now.
He is.
He's
an on the record source. So I would like to have major media people writing about this guy. He seems like he wants to talk more than he has before in the past. I think all that Barry side money has made him a little more glib than he was previously.
He's got his fuck you money, as we say.
I mean, what happens with these organized crime figures at the end of the run?
Oh yeah, I've talked about this quite a bit.
They want people to know how brilliant they are and all the stuff they did, right? All of them.
All of them. Mm-hmm. Well, because look, if you're a master of the universe, and you've affected millions of people's lives, and you're an egomaniac and a sociopath, right? Or you wouldn't have gotten to the level of being a capo or being in control to that degree. But your whole gig relies on the fact that nobody knows you're the master of the universe because you go to prison or you get bad exposure in Leo's case, or God only knows, maybe he's got people who own him and he's got to be quiet. That for an egomaniac, for a megalomaniac and a sociopath, as all of these mob bosses are, you get to the end of your life and they're like going, they can't handle it. They need everybody to know what they did. Mm-hmm. And it takes that where they're like staring into the abyss going, oh my God, I'm going to die. Nobody's going to know that I picked presidents, that I did this, that I rigged the World's Fair, that I the World Series, that I did. No one's going to know how much that I actually, poured all the concrete in Manhattan, that I'm the one that did all this, that I'm the one that did all that. Like, no one's going to know these huge things. I don't have a legacy. I'm just another Goomba because I had to have that as a facade to not go to prison.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they all end up talking. So maybe Leo will tell us.
I'd like to hear it from the horse's mouth. Excuse me, the horse's mouth.
Listen, you've written a lot about him. Surely he's read what you've written about him.
I would like to think that he has.
I think you could reach out. Maybe he'd talk to you, Greg.
I did. I sent him. I wrote an open letter to him, and I printed it, and I sent it to 3 different places in the mail.
Do it again.
He has not written back yet. So yeah.
Well, I think just the fact that as much as you've looked at him, and as much as you've studied him, and as much as you've written about him, never in a million years would you have picked out the word sleazebag.
No, that's a surprise. It really is.
Yeah.
I was just so surprised that his name was in the tweet or the Truth Social post that and so many people sent it to me that it was kind of funny, and I'm grateful for it, but it's just like, oh, got to send this along. I sent it to Tom actually, so I think
good.
But yeah, I'm sure he got the same treatment. But
I'm sure. Yeah. All right. Well, that was a little light. As you said, a solid from the president. Who knew?
We knew. Look, on this show, you said and I said, if there's a fight between Musk and Trump is going to win.
Oh, yeah.
Verily, it has come to pass.
Just like everyone was like, oh, no, Elon. I'm like, he's going to last. Trump is a hardened criminal. Raised by hardened, and in their world, he was fancy, and ridiculous. But
compared to this guy, he either got a black eye by the Secretary of the Treasury or a 3-year-old. So pick one.
Pick one.
Both kind of bad. Got this 64-year-old guy who's a banker or whatever the hell he is, and then you have a child. I don't know. I'm just glad someone done it. I wish there was video. I would love to watch video.
I'm sorry, what?
I'd love to watch video.
Yeah.
I hope there's footage.
Can you imagine?
Yeah. Come on, Rupert Murdoch. Get it out there.
Get it out.
You got this. All right. Do we have any announcements?
No. Do we? Like, subscribe, join. We could use the support as well.
We could. We could watch the 5, 8 1/2 Wednesday night.
Watch the 5, 8 1/2.
Nadine and Lisa every week have been just fantastic. Great guests.
Good.
Great show.
I'm loved it. We had a guest on this week who has a Substack coming out called the Square Cop, right? Because she thinks there's a Square Cop round hole. But I found that discussion really amazing because it was just sort of from a police officer's point of view, this sort of betrayal that's happening, and what it's like to watch this, all of your profession being co-opted by this wannabe authoritarian who is, I don't know if he's wannabe anymore. I think he is. I don't know. Yeah. So that was a really, really interesting conversation. I'm sure there'll be another one next week, and I don't have anything else to announce. But we're working on something. We are trying to do another live event. So
we're contemplating
get that all together and let everybody know when that is.
We're trying to do another live event, and we'll send word out. But if we do it this time, it'll probably be in the Hudson Valley, somewhere near moi. Yeah. Rather than in the city and rather than up north. Because we had one in the city and we had one in the up north, and now we have to be like,
we got to go in the middle.
We have to go in the middle.
Will
you meet me in the middle? Okay.
All right. I'm going to put the timer on because I forgot last time.
Yeah.
Here we go.
We didn't go 8 minutes. That was quick. I don't think.
No, we went more than 8 minutes.
Well, we were laughing. I don't care. I'm fine.
Okay.
With it. All right. We'll go quick on this because there was another piece that I read in the Times where Masha Gessen, who I think is now M. Gessen.
M. Gessen.
M. Period. Gessen. they wrote this op-ed talking about the moment that we're in now in things. And the point of it was that everything comes, it's like the Naomi Klein shock doctrine thing, where everything's coming so fast, all these changes, all these terrible, terrible things, that eventually and pretty quickly human beings stay sane, normalize stuff, even though they don't want to. They have to kind of to survive. You know, it's a mental process. So that, as she writes in the piece, like, you know, the first time, remember in the first administration when he did the Muslim ban and everybody went out and they did all the stuff and we're not going to let him do that. And then like 6 months later, he did another one and it wasn't quite as, you know, and then eventually he just had a Muslim ban and nobody did anything about it because there's so much other stuff going on. And they cautioned that we're in a moment now that we have to be careful. And I want to just read this. I'm going to take the banner down. I want to read this, just this part of it, where they say, and the piece is called "Beware, We're Entering a New Phase of the Trump Era." And they say, we humans are stability-seeking creatures. Getting accustomed to what used to seem unthinkable can feel like an accomplishment. And when the unthinkable recedes a little bit, when someone gets released from detention, as the Columbia University student Madawi was a few weeks ago, or some particularly egregious proposal is withdrawn or blocked by the courts, as the ban on international students at Harvard has been, at least temporarily, it's easy to mistake it for proof that the dark times are ending. But these comparatively small victories don't alter the direction of our transformation. They don't even slow it down measurably, even while they appeal to our deep need to normalize. They create the sense that there is more air to breathe and more room to act than there was yesterday. And so just when we most need to act, while there is indeed room for action and some momentum to the resistance, we tend to be lulled into complacency by the sense of relief on one hand and boredom on the other. So, and I
don't know about the boredom part. I do. Go ahead. I want to hear what you have to say.
I post this not as a kind of Debbie Downer thing, but as a, you know, this is a moment. I don't think it's true that people are sick of the stories. I mean, in my lifetime, people are around. I'm sure everybody watching the show is not tired of anything. And their point in the piece is now's the time to go do stuff and keep doing stuff. So what were you going to say?
Yeah, I don't know about, I think there's more of a, I think there's a mistakenness of, it's just hard, right? It's just hard. Yeah. It's hard to be, when you're being constantly, like people being sent to El Salvador, and then we're sort of fighting for that and make some wins there, but then they're off to the Sudan, right? And then it's like, but you know, there's just more and more. The one thing, the scale that Trump and all the cohorts around him understand is the overwhelm with doing a lot and just keep doing it. So when sand can be thrown in the gears, right, and stuff can be stopped and pulled back, I don't know that there's a complacency. Yes, there is relief, but it's also like going back into the well to fight for even more. It's just hard, you know. Yeah. It's just and not hard as a complaint, but just the resources it took to just get that one grain of sand in that gear, or to actually stop something and get it working. The internal resources, the external resources, the energy is so momentous because we're up against such a huge force and so much is at stake. So I think more, if we can picture ourselves on a wheel, right? And we know, okay, the wheel's going to keep rolling. It's going to keep rolling. And we're part of this. And we're going to do our part. And we're going to push. But maybe like a bicycle wheel. I've been doing a lot of biking. But sometimes the right leg can pull instead of the left leg pushing down. And you can kind of ride for a little bit. And then know, all right, now that I might need to pull on the other side, so that the other leg has a moment. I think if we can find a rhythm, and everybody can get into a rhythm and know what your personal resources are, not just, just energetically, that it's going to be easier to be in a fight that nobody actually was ever prepared to be in. We were a peaceful nation. We're a prosperous nation. This attack is coming. We brought it on ourselves. And it's just a lot to process how to be in that fight and stay in that fight and not get lost in it. It's not even like just being overwhelmed. It's just sort of like keeping your eye on the prize. So also maybe finding one thing to do. I think everybody calling their senators and freaking out. I don't care what Joni Ernst says. And I mean, I think she shot herself in the foot with her recent comment of like, well, everyone's going to die someday. It's like now they're just exposing that their philosophy, their paradigm is nihilism. So why they care so much about abortion, I don't fucking know, because they're just nihilists. But that kind of thing where you're going to allow people to just die en masse off and be thrown out of their nursing homes and thrown onto the street and not have any health care and hospitals shutting down in all these rural areas. Folks get that. And if we keep calling, we can stop them from passing this insane bullshit bill, right? That's going to gut us. I think we can handle that fight. I think we're on the wheel of that fight. I think we can win that fight. And I think the actions that everybody's taking are working. And I think we can do more of that. And then it's not like there's time to rest, but there's maybe folks that can kick in and be the other leg, and you can ride the wheel a little bit. So having short-term goals, having resourced yourself, I think it's working. I think we can resist this thing.
We're going to ride the bike, and Trump can't ride a bike. So we're good. We're
can't.
Good. I want to, the word boredom that they use in that piece, I want to talk. I think what they mean is the boredom of, look, Elon Musk is fucking boring. Donald Trump is so boring. So the boredom is like, I don't want to think about these people anymore. I would love to not have to think about them because they're boring. But like, so when there is the moment of relief, there's also an escape from the boredom because maybe I won't have to think about these people anymore. I think that's what they meant when they said that. So
maybe. I think also it's important to, like, speaking of bike riding, just do other things. You don't watch it. I don't watch it. We tune into what we need to do, and we take action where we know that we can. We do this show. We talk to people. We keep the discourse. We know that we're wordsmiths, so the discourse is important to us. It's a part of the playing board that we feel like we do have some expertise and knowledge in and some experience in, so we can move the pieces around a little bit. Keep the territory on our side where we can. I think it's a little bit like it's the downer version of the thing that I say at the end of this show, right? Which can be construed, I think, or I'm struggling with it now, as you know, to say sort of we're going to get through this because it feels like a little diluted, But what I mean by it now, and I think the only reason to keep saying it now, is that we actually have no choice.
Mm-hmm.
And anything is survivable. As horrific as that is to contemplate, like what wouldn't be survivable, as long as we're breathing and we've got our health to a certain degree.
Until RFK takes it away. Yes.
Until RFK takes it away. Human beings can find a way to survive. We have what I consider recent history because it was in the lifetime of our parents and grandparents, of World War II. Think of what people survived.
Oh, yeah.
And then what was built after that. by those very people who survived that.
Yeah.
So, we're going to get through it.
I know I was supposed to hit the button and I didn't hit the button,
Okay.
but the World War II thing reminded me of the Winston Churchill quote, which is a good quote, which is he said, if you find yourself going through hell, keep going. That's what he said. So there you go. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.